Hello kings and queens, thank you so much for clicking on this video. So we're going to talk about how to file your taxes, because if you didn't know, today is January 28th, the first day that the IRS is letting us file our taxes. Woo! So we're either going to get a refund or a bill to pay. So hopefully you're getting a refund, because I hope I'm getting a refund too, you know what I'm saying? But so if you're an employee, it all starts with the form W-4, which is what you fill out in the beginning of your employment, which includes personal information but also exemption. So what is an exemption? An exemption is anything that lessens your tax burden, which gets you to take more out of your paycheck. And those things can be if you're married, or if you have kids, or if you have other qualifying members that you need to spend on, basically. So the whole point of the W-4 is to make sure that you're paying your taxes every paycheck, so you don't have a huge burden at the end of the year. The more exemptions that you claim, the more money you get out of your paycheck, and the less money you get out of your paycheck. But if you don't get it accurately, then you might end up having a tax refund or having a huge tax burden at the end of the year. Most of us actually pay more money to the government, which is why we have a tax refund at the end of the year. So usually if you have a tax refund, it's because you paid the government too much money throughout the year, and the government is just giving you that money right back. Some people actually use this as a savings account, so they're actually purposely pay the government more money each month from their paycheck, and that way they can get it as a refund at the end of the year. But personally, I don't understand that, because there's other ways to invest your money rather than just giving the government a free loan with no interest. Just saying. Now, if you have a bill to pay at the end of the year, it just means that you didn't pay enough taxes during the year. So we want to make sure that we're very accurate with that when we're filling out our W-4, so that we don't have this huge tax burden at the end of the year. This is why it's so important to update your W-4 every single year, because if you get married or if you have kids, things change with your exemptions, and you want to make sure that you have those accurate, so then you're not putting yourself in a place where you have to pay a lot of money to the government. And seeing that there was a tax reform, one of the biggest changes that occurred was that there are no longer any personal exemptions. So it'd be a great time to go ahead and update your W-4 in this month, to make sure that when you're paying your taxes for this year, it's correct for the end of the year for next year. Now let's talk about what we actually need to prepare our taxes. So before I get into what you actually need to file your taxes, I just want to put a disclaimer. It's actually really easy to file your taxes if you're single and you have no dependents, and it gets a little bit more difficult when you're married, you have kids, you own a business, or things like that. You're going to need more and more things. But I'm going to list the things that any employee would need if they do not own a business. I'm not going to mention any forms that you would need if you own a business. It does get more complicated. The first thing that all employees need is their W-2. So the W-2 is a form that basically includes all the tips that you've made, wages, taxes that you've paid, and this form is actually required by law to be sent to you from your employer and as well to the IRS. Other forms that you might need are 1099 forms. So there are different types of them. First, one of them are the interest income one, which is INT. This is actually if you invest and you have interest income. Fun fact, I got an interest income form from Chase Bank when I opened my account with them. They had a promotional where they're giving $200 away, and I got a form that says that we'll get taxed on the $200. So I didn't know that. I kind of knew it was going to happen, but I just didn't know how. But that's a form of interest income that you will get taxed from the IRS by the way. Another form is DIV, which is dividend income. So if you invest in the stock market and you get dividends during the year, you will get taxed. Another popular form that most taxpayers need at the end of the year is a 1098. So that usually is for mortgage interest that you've paid during the year that you can deduct from your taxes. The only catch to that is that you have to itemize your deductions if you decide to use that option. So you can either itemize or standardize your deductions. That basically means that when you itemize, you use other things that you have paid during the year that are deductible from your taxes when you itemize. If you standardize, it just means that the government is giving you a standard amount that they give any other taxpayer that's single, married, filing jointly, or married filing separately, or head of household, a standard deduction. I'll lay them out here that you can just deduct from your taxes, so you don't have to go through and itemize different things that are itemizable. That's not a word, but things that you're allowed to itemize on your taxes. Another form is a 1098E or T, which is for tuition or student loan interest that you paid during the year. So usually you can deduct this if you standardize or itemize. It doesn't matter because it is for education, but that will change as your income goes higher and higher in the tax bracket. The last one is a 1098C, which is for contributions. So this is basically if you give to a charity or you even give in church, you can usually deduct those from your taxes, but you do have to get all those forms from church at the end of the year if you want to do that. if you itemize your deductions. But any big donations that you've given, you can go ahead and deduct those from your taxes. How do you decide whether you want to standardize or itemize your deductions? Well, it just comes down to how much you spend during the year. So already the government is giving you, if you standardize, $12,200 as a single person to take away from your tax burden. So if I feel like I have spent more than $12,200 during the year through donations or interest expense from my mortgage, or interest from student loans or tuition, and it has exceeded that $12,200, then I can go ahead and itemize my deductions, because I'm going to get more taken off of my taxes that way. But if I have spent less, then I might as well just take the amount the government is giving me and deduct that from my taxes. I hope that makes sense. Now, if you do decide to itemize your deductions, you will need to hand in what is called a Schedule A. And the Schedule A is just a form that organizes and accurately adds up all those deductions. The most popular places to go and file your taxes are actually the IRS, TurboTax, H&R Block, and TaxAct.com. These are all e-file. The IRS is actually great because it lets you file your federal and state taxes at the same time. It does it all for you. But if you live in Texas, you have no state income tax. All of these services are actually free for anyone who earns around $60,000 or less per year, and you can check for every single one of them. It's a little bit different, but that's around the ballpark of how much money you can earn a year and get your taxes for free. I will have all those links in the description box below. Now, to actually file your taxes, you're going to need to pick what form you want to use to file those taxes. This sounds complicated, but really when you're online, it's super easy because it leads you through it, and it will recommend you a form to use anyway, so it's not gonna be that big of a deal. But for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna go over what the 3 forms are. The first one is a 1040 easy, which means exactly what it sounds like. It's just a 1040 that's really easy. If you're single, no dependents, you don't have that much to put in your tax return, then you just use the 1040 easy and do it really quickly. The next one is a 1040A, which is just a shorter version of the 1040, and then there's a 1040, which is the regular version, and that's if you have a lot going on. You want to make sure you bring all the forms that we talked about earlier in this video, which is Schedule A, 1099, 1098, and obviously your W-2. Now, if you have a lot going on in your taxes and you don't want to file yourself, you can always use a CPA, which is a certified public accountant, but obviously there will be a fee to that. Or you can go to an enrolled agent, which is someone that is licensed by the IRS to file taxes legally. Make sure to choose wisely who you go to file your taxes though, because some people are out here scamming people, okay? So don't get scammed. Make sure you go to someone who is licensed and who is supposed to do it legally. So now that you know how to file your taxes and what you need to file your taxes, make sure you do all these steps before April 15th, because that is when your tax return is due, and you want to make sure you do not get fined by the IRS. Taxes are really not that hard. You just have to know the different steps that you need to take in order to do it properly. So I'm just gonna run through those steps real quick. You want to make sure that you keep your W-4 current. You want to use your W-2 and any other forms to file your taxes. You want to make sure you check any expenses that you make during the year if you want to itemize your deductions, and you want to make sure you file your taxes before April 15th so you don't get fined by the IRS. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. I will list helpful links in the description box down below, so make sure you check that out. So again, thank you guys all for watching this video. If you benefited from this information, make sure you give me a big like and subscribe for more content, and make sure you turn the notifications on so you can be notified when I post my next video. Without further ado, see you kings and queens later, and make sure you pay your taxes. Bye.